Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a budget is an exercise in macroeconomic game and social justice, and in the case of Mauritius, it should aim at creating a highly international competitive economy, which will ensure a high and continuously rising standard of living for its citizens. Madam Speaker, was it not a declared vision of this government to make Mauritius a high-income economy? If we look at this budget, 2019-2020, again, we find a few palliative and panadol measures to attempt to create an elusive feel-good factor. When we look at the major measures announced by the government, which I will elaborate on, it clearly shows that this government has been capitalizing on effets d'annonce, many of which are just des mots, Madam Speaker. Let me now, Madam Speaker, enlighten this august assembly on some of the effets d'annonce, which have remained only on paper following the 4 previous budgets, which will judge for itself to what extent the promises made in this current budget, 2019-2020, can be trusted. The first budget, 2015-2016, of this government boldly propounded that it will be a budget of rupture with the past, the second miracle, Maurice, vaste chantier de développement. With great fanfare, it was announced that several smart cities would be constructed. Now reaching at the end of this government mandate, where are we with the 5 promised technopoles, but instead the Metro Express has taken the lead. SME Bank, which was to assist entrepreneurs with a promised 10 billion rupees to be put at its disposal over a period of 5 years. The bank has still not been inaugurated by the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker. To decongest Port Louis, it was proposed that a ferry service would be made operational between Pointe-aux-Sables and Port Louis. No ferry to be found à l'horizon after 4.5 years. The much touted about Marshall Plan for fight against poverty has only seen the preparation of a draft report. There have been PNQ in 2017 by the leader of the opposition and several PQs. Still, we do not understand why major recommendations to assist persons from pocket of poverty to emerge never materialized, Madam Speaker. The previous budget declared a complete ban on advertisement on gambling, while many new licenses have been issued for gambling houses and rendered us as a nation Zugadeer. And the measures and framework by the Gambling Regulatory Authority are still on waiting list, showing the lack of consideration for the Chijimun, who can continue ruining themselves in debts for their addiction in gambling. The privatization of Casino de Maurice was also announced in the 2016-2017 budget, but still it remained a l'effet d'annonce. Madam Speaker, the budget 2016-2017 was a plethora of some more empty promises. The setting up of several industrial parks, including an agri-business park on an area of 100 hectares and 2 SME industrial parks. Where are they, Madam Speaker? A new skills development authority was to be set up to more effectively guide the needs of the country in terms of skills requirement. The budget 2019-2020 is again repeating the same measure. This shows, Madam Speaker, a government lacking new strategies. Mauritius was to be open to the trade of gold as a new industry for Mauritius. The project has since been sent to calendrier grec, Madam Speaker. A lot of hope was given that abandoned agricultural lands would be brought under the purview of an agricultural land management system to bring small planters back to cultivate the abandoned lands. 4 years later, the same promises are being rehearsed in different languages and terms. The phase 1 of the Metro Express, which was not on the agenda, is said to be completed to the tune of 90%. The man on the street has very good reasons to take with a pinch of salt the words of the government. By the way, the works with regards to the construction of the Victoria Terminal are yet to start. And now, hope is being given to villagers that the Metro Express will be extended. Luckily, there are no taxes on selling fake dreams, Madam Speaker. The proposed restructuring of the State Investment Corporation, of the Development Bank of Mauritius, the fusion between the Mauritius Housing Company and the National Housing Development Corporation, the fusion between the National Art Gallery and the Mauritius Museum Council. No fusion, Madam Speaker. They have been diffused. Coming to the budget 2017-2018, Madam Speaker, I will fail in my duty if I do not draw attention as to how, again, the population has been taken for a ride with unrealistic objectives year in, year out. It was proposed that drones would be used to better manage cane plantations. The ambition was to cultivate at least 500 hectares of abandoned lands during the fiscal year 2017-2018. With regards to the tourism sector, Madam Speaker, it is now being announced that the Mauritius Tourism Promotion Authority will now develop a new tourism brand to reposition Mauritius as a premium destination. Madam Speaker, should we feel relieved for this measure and say, better late than never? Madam Speaker, the figures speak for themselves, as elaborately analyzed by the leader of the opposition. And I must say, the finest tourism minister we have had so far, he left no stone unturned to boost l'image de destination de marque for Mauritius. Mais for Mauritius, culminating in a record in the growth of tourism arrivals, in enhancing our regulations to boost and improve our business climate and tourism sector. But, Madam Speaker, for how long can we sit without new strategies and keep on cultivating the fruits sown by the predecessor? Without nurturing the trees at some point, they will surely stop bearing the fruit, Madam Speaker. And this is our current situation. And our tourism sector has never been so bad. And our surrounding competitors are avidly capitalizing on our attitude of lâcher prise, Madam Speaker. It was proposed to build a world-class sports complex prior to the Jet des Îles de l'Océan Indien. It is my wish, and that of everyone on this side of the House, that it is completed prior to the Games, Madam Speaker, because it goes for the pride of Mauritius. Unfortunately, the two administrative towers to house government officers and proposed to be built for a budget of 3.6 billion have not had the will of the government to be materialized, which would have saved the government hundreds of millions of rupees in rent. Announced in the budget 2017-2018, Madam Speaker, was a Broadcasting and Communications Authority bill to merge the Independent Broadcasting Authority and the Information and Communication Technology Authority. It would clearly seem that the project would have since been abandoned, Madam Speaker. As we are on it, Madam Speaker, has the post of the Executive Director of the ICTA been filled? Total opacity, Madam Speaker. And as other several bodies is still without heads, while the government's mandate is coming to an end. The institution reform for the establishment of the Mauritius National Investment Authority to invest locally and globally the surplus funds of the NPF and NSF. The amendment of the Public Procurement Act to allow to exclude bidders whose performance has shown deficiencies in previous public contract, but nothing seen, Madam Speaker. What can we say about the pétard mouillé of the sale of the Mauritian passport, the major discovery and strategy to boost our economy and open our doors, just to mention only a few of the measures which have again, Madam Speaker, effet d'annonce. Madam Speaker, if we look at the budget 2018-2019, we should be fair that there are some social measures which have been implemented. Fine for speeding over 25 kilometers per hour, over prescribed limits increased from 2,000 to 10,000. Income tax rate brought down for those drawing less than 50,000 rupees. Maternity leave for those with less than a year of service. Some 1,500 people aged 75 and above could benefit from an allowance of 450 rupees. However, Madam Speaker, there were many more measures, apart from social measures, to put Mauritius on the track to become a high-income economy, and which had remained only on paper. Where is the second economic miracle, as pompously declared, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, if we look at the announced measure for maximizing opportunities from the ocean economy, so to say, the next avenue for our import substitution strategy and for export growth, in the medium and long term lies in our ocean economy. According to Vision 2030, the government was to give our fishing sector its due and importance. Then, where is the National Ocean Council? The promised transformation of Mauritius into a major regional fishing sector. The concerned minister has been the few lucky ones who has stayed in the same chair, the same ministry since 2014. Unfortunately, the development in the sector, the slackness to tap the economic possibilities of our ocean is too obvious. The budget 2018-2019 stipulated that the government would be setting up of an ocean economy unit with the responsibility of preparing a national ocean policy paper. Where are we with the paper after nearly 5 years, Madam Speaker? It is unfortunate and sad that the Ministry of Ocean Economy is going for the sharks. Madam Speaker, an ocean observatory e-platform was also to be developed to support the marine spatial planning initiative of Mauritius. A geotechnical study was to be conducted in extended continental shelf management area of Mascarene region to explore its potentials. Madam Speaker, nothing concrete has been done so far by the concerned ministry and the Economic Development Board in developing what should be a new and probably the biggest economic pillar that Mauritius could develop to make it a high-income economy. And this, especially at a time when our traditional sectors have reached maturity and possibly are in decline stages of their life cycles. Madam Speaker, the port expansion is still being announced or re-announced in the budget 2019-2020 budget since the government program 2015-2019 was declared. Madam Speaker, the same applies to the ICT infrastructure of the country. The government has devoted its energy and resources to violating the right to privacy of Mauritian citizens through the Safe City project at a cost of more than 15 billion rupees, but nothing concrete has been done to the wealth creating infrastructure of the nation. As per 2018-2019 budget, government was to set up a Mauritius Artificial Intelligence Council. The council would spearhead and drive artificial intelligence related activities and advise government on their way forward. Till date, nothing, Madam Speaker. Government was also to set up a steering committee.
Order, please.
Government was also to set up a steering committee under the Prime Minister's office comprising of representatives of relevant ministries to ensure greater coherence in the digitization of public sector services and the monitoring of its implementation in a timely manner. Madam Speaker, even today, members of the public have to take leave from work to go for registration or re-registration of their vehicles. One has to spend several hours to get a new driving license in case of loss. Electronic signatures recognition is still a far-fetched reality. Staying within the ambit of technology, the government was to set up a new scholarship scheme for 50 students annually who wish to specialize in digital technologies, including artificial intelligence and blockchain, to build capacity for the sector. Has it been done, Madam Speaker? At the proposed rate of 50 students annually, Mauritius is all set for more brain drain. And to miss the artificial intelligence age and the business opportunities artificial intelligence could have represented for Mauritius and so essential for Mauritius to become a high-income economy. Madam Speaker, to secure sustainable development, the government was to make significant investment to protect and enhance our environment. What we still see in 2019-2020 budget is peanut allocation to counter effects of climate change and to say that this is one of the biggest challenges facing a small island economy like Mauritius. And when we hear my good friend, the Minister of Environment speech yesterday, well, he's absent. Madam Speaker, it made us think that those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. Since nothing was moving at the Ministry of Environment, the projects have been grouped and managed under the National Environment Fund under the aegis of the Prime Minister's office. Please carry out a survey with the officers of the Ministry of Environment and Social Security, and you will find the level of frustration as most of the department are in rodage. But be it beach authority, solid waste, the different sections and divisions of the Department of Environment. Well, as he has talked a lot about the leader of the opposition, or like he has not performed when he was the Minister of Finance. Let me remind my good friend, the Minister of Environment, he's a good speaker, Madam Speaker. But when it comes to action, zero. National Audit Office has clearly flagged that so much rent is being paid to DBM to store compost bins, but no policy has been put in place to distribute yet. The compost bins are being composted, Madam Speaker. Furthermore, what a minister, Madam Speaker. We should congratulate him because due to his inaction, there has been so much savings, and this has given plenty of maneuver to the Honorable Minister of Finance. Madam Speaker, the government had shown a lot of concern with respect to expenditure management. It was claimed that when things go wrong in public finance, we must get things right. The Finance and the Audit Act was to be amended for ministries and departments to include an implementation plan in the annual report for preventing recurrence in shortcomings reported by the Director of Audit. Madam Speaker, the recent criticism by the Director of Audit bears testimony of the fake promises. Madam Speaker, this government has again been over-promising and under-delivering when it comes to public sector debts, which was supposed to be brought to around 63% of GDP by the end of June 2019. Clearly, if we continue this trend, and if we may say so, Mauritius can be said to be Greece in the making. Now, having recourse to the reserves of the Bank of Mauritius and going to the extent of amending the law to tap on the saving of several generations of Mauritians. Madam Speaker, as many on this side of the House and the players of the economic society, we question ourselves of how the government have come up with these so easy and indecent measures and go away with over-expenditure and debt. If we look at the 2019-2020 budget per se, Madam Speaker, I am of opinion that there are some respectable measures proposed in the budget. Some of the measures which may be appreciated or dealt along with caution that have to be exercised in being overexcited about them. The proposed recruitment of 528 employees in the health sector is a welcome idea. But with by-elections to be declared by 18th June 2019 and general election looming ahead, this measure may simply not be implemented without being caught in the controversy of bribe electoral. Government should come clear to the population on the issue, Madam Speaker. 6 new MUGA will be built. What will be the criteria for choosing the locations to ensure an equitable sharing of the cake, Madam Speaker? A new renal transplant unit to be set up at the Nehru Hospital of Rosebell is a welcome idea, Madam Speaker. Increase of pensions by 500 rupees, payable in January 2020, is appreciated. It has not been a good idea for the spin doctors of government to have created an over-expectations in the psychology of our elders that pensions would have been aligned to a minimum wage level and to have been taken by surprise, that ultimately they will be paid only 500 rupees, and that also as from January 2020. Increase in monthly carers allowance from 3,000 to 3,500 for some 23,000 bedridden pensioners, and the extension of domiciliary visits of doctors from person age 25 years or older to person age 60 years and above will go a long way to alleviate the suffering of our elders. To further advance gender equality, public companies and statutory bodies will be required to have at least one woman on their board of directors. Also welcome, I fail to understand this disparity. Why not 30%? Oh, still why? Not 50% women sitting on the boards, Madam Speaker. While it is appreciated that more is being done to combat drug trafficking, nothing seems to be on the agenda to deal with the fléau social that drug consumption is. Madam Speaker, drug consumption is a sickness rather than a crime. There's nothing or not much in this budget on the measures that can be adapted to get these victims back to normal life, and what can be done to reduce hard drug consumption. We also appreciate that a move is being done to put in place a land research monitoring unit to give a ray of light for those cases of dispossession of land highlighted by the Truth and Justice Commission. It is only hoped that this will not remain only an electoral announcement, Madam Speaker. Also worthy of appreciation are measures to mitigate floods in flood-prone area. I just hope it is just, not too much announcement, too late, at the end of this government mandates. The question is, why the government is only now coming out of its lethargy to address such a pressing issue. The government proposes to reduce provisions for ministerial missions to foreign countries from 160 million rupees to 120 million rupees. Unfortunately, not only ministers, but high public officers and their surroundings have abused, depleted our taxpayers' money, Madam Speaker. This August Assembly and the next government should see to it that it is not only about creating an illusion that this government has suddenly decided to tackle wastages after the cow has been milked dry. Madam Speaker, I am sure fishermen will benefit from a bad weather allowance increase from 310 rupees to to 340 rupees. But are fishermen les enfants mal-nés of the Mauritian society? I wonder why only 30 rupee increase is found justifiable by the government. If an increase was to be given, it should make sense with the reality on the ground, the climate change effects, and not to create a feeling of an abandoned section of the population of Mauritius. For this not easy and very risky task of our fishermen. Madam Speaker, true that for gas cylinder, the price has brought down to 210 rupees from 240 rupees. True also that there has been a decrease in the price of petrol from 47 rupees to 42 rupees, and that of diesel from 38 rupees to 35 rupees. But why was this announcement made only in the budget? Did the price monitoring mechanism committee not find that the price of petrol has gone down in the world markets earlier? Or is it just adding up on the list of some semblant of feel-good factor, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, we also note that in this budget, that the detailed design for the Rivière des Anguilles Dam will be completed by the end of January 2020, when the National Audit Report 2016-2017 raised the issue about the dam being a priority project which was being initiated to meet the problem and the increasing demand of water supply for domestic and irrigation purposes, and the tourism sector in the southern and part of western region of Mauritius. The audit report further mentioned that at the end of June 2017, an amount of 174.8 million rupees had already been spent. Now at the end of this government mandate, we are still at the dam design stage. Madam Speaker, when one of the main priority and promises on which the government was elected was to provide water 24/7. It's not 24/7. It's, that is SEC. People have to come out on the street to get their voice heard. Clearly, 5 years later, we are far from the objective spelled out in the government program. Unfortunately, this is what we can expect when they are taking almost 5 years to repair 300 meters of Terre-Rouge-Verdun Road, while in other countries, kilometers of roads have been built on the ocean. Madam Speaker, l'enfant très pauvre du budget, I will say, is by far investment in arts and culture. Since PMSD left, the government, nothing has been achieved at the Ministry of Arts and Culture. We opened the access to Le Monde Mountain. Both Segachipik and Gidgawai were registered by the United Nations as Patrimoine Mondial. We had the safeguard of our national heritage at heart. At this surpass our religious or culture beliefs and showed that PMSD paguait figure et religion by declaring la case créole, Al-Aqsa Mosque, Pandurang Krishna Mandir, just to name a few, as national heritage. While here, no second thoughts were given or the plights of the people heard before the destruction of the historical building of La School. Here, even the Slavery Museum has remained in the speeches made for abolition of slavery. All that is mentioned in the budget is that funds are being earmarked to undertake preliminary works for the setting up of the Intercontinental Slavery Museum, when no budget amount seems to have been earmarked. The only concrete measure is a budget of 30 million rupees, which have been earmarked for phase 2 of the renovation of the Port Louis Theatre. On a final note, Madam Speaker, I have to conclude that the budget estimates for 2019-2020 are quite worrying. While total expenditure is estimated at 138.6 billion rupees, only 17 billion is earmarked for capital expenditure. I am afraid that we may be creating a nation of consumers with too little on investment for the future. Sound macroeconomics would be in favor of capital expenditure to a minimum of 25% of total budget. We are far from the minimum that should have gone into capital expenditure, which will generate sustainable wealth in the future. The overall budget deficit for 2019-2020 will be 16.9 billion rupees, which will add to the already unsustainably high debt of the country. This government is creating a country that lives beyond its means. Madam Speaker, this budget is packaged as embracing our brighter future together. Should the government not make an introspection and tell the truth to the population? Madam Speaker, with all the unrealized measures of the past budget, can this government be trusted? We are a nation which likes to stand on its own feet to face the future. What we have witnessed in this budget is we are being taken for a ride through a series of palliative solutions to our pains. A budget snatched off our will to dream for a sustainable and prosperous future for our future generations. When hearing some of the members on the other side since yesterday, I am sure many in this House and the public have got a feeling of hearing a kind of farewell speeches or an overtly appeal to flattery towards the Prime Minister, maybe in the lieu or illusion for a ministerial chair. Luckily for Mauritius, the men on the street are not so duped. Madam Speaker, I cannot end. Madam Speaker, I cannot end my intervention today without saying a few words on the petty politics against the PMSD we heard yesterday from Honorable Leopold. Maybe he should be reminded that development in Rodrigues have been possible due to Sir Gaëtan Duval. I was not born, he was not born too. He was the one to give Rodriguez voting right in August 1967. To give Rodrigues its ports, its airports, roads, school, electricity, administrative facility, hotel, and Crève-Cœur Hospital. Merci Gaëtan, Monsieur Léopold. He had nearly 10 city housing units built in Rodrigues, and which are still known as Cité Gaëtan. by the grateful people of Rodrigues. Wait, more. The best one is now. Madam Speaker, even the city where Honorable Leopold is, hey, my friend, where the city, even the city where Honorable Leopold is residing, which is,
order, please. Honorable François, I am addressing myself to you. You will have the opportunity to intervene. Then you will review what he said.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. He will have his turn. Even, I repeat it again, even the city where Honorable Leopold is residing, which is Cité Cascade Jean-Louis, was built by Sir Gaëtan Duval. To tell you what a shameful act and lack of gratitude by the Honorable second member of Rodrigues towards Sir Gaëtan Duval's contribution by coming in this August Assembly and criticizing ignorantly and wickedly Sir Gaëtan Duval and the PMSD. Thank you, Madam Speaker.